All right, so let's get the Vancouver and the Ottawa stuff out of the way here in the same video, because it's a similar topic with both of these discussions over here, and as a result, I think it would be appropriate to combine the two. Today we're talking about the 2021 NHL Entry Draft again, because of course we are. It's the hot topic in the towns that are not playing any NHL hockey at the moment, which is the majority of the towns in the NHL. But yeah, Vancouver, Ottawa, we're in a position where you're taking a look at the results of the 2021 draft and you're asking yourselves, okay, where are we going to go with these picks? Who are we going to go for? Who are my teams interested in? And I said this in the previous video with Detroit, but as we get more news, more leaks, more information, we're going to make a whole bunch of discussion videos talking about all of this stuff because, you know, just talking about the general outline of the pick, that's a conversation we can have. Oh, do we have a rumor coming out here saying that the Sens are interested in this one player? Okay, boom, that's another video right there because that's another conversation we can have. Eventually, we're going to have more conversations, more discussion-based analysis on each of these prospects, plus the why I want videos in general. So if you just want the basic outline of the prospect without any coordinal conversations with other NHL teams, then hey, we're going to have those videos up too. I said it, man, I really want to go deep with the draft this year. So when it comes to the Sens and the Canucks, one of these teams is picking pretty much exactly where we thought they were going to pick, and another team is pleasantly surprised. Ottawa is drafting 10th overall because they just happen to stay there. And Vancouver is drafting 9th overall, which is really surprising because for the first time in a while, they don't get screwed in the lottery and they don't get pushed down. Sure, they didn't win first or whatever, they just stayed at 9. But the fact that they stayed at 9, that in itself is a pretty big miracle. So today we're talking about these picks, 9 and 10th overall, Vancouver and Ottawa respectively, and discussing the idea of trading the picks. Firstly, for the Vancouver side of things, let's go over onto what Ben Kuzma reports for the Canucks and their overall situation here. This is what Jim Benning said right after the draft lottery, talking about the 9th overall pick. We are going to look at everything. We're going to call other teams. I know we're going to get a real good player in this draft. We're going to have to get a young player who we feel is worth trading the pick if we trade it. We're keeping our options open. He also says this, which I find very funny. I'm just happy we didn't lose any draft spots. There are 9 guys we really like, and I'm happy about that, and we'll take the best player regardless of position. Okay, so when it comes to the Canucks and Benning and these comments are pretty basic, not gonna lie. They're not earth-shattering, it's not anything new, it's totally just the cookie-cutter answers, but, you know, sometimes the cookie-cutter answers is the best kind of answer you can receive. Just knowing that Jim Benning is in that position where, should a team come knocking on the Canucks' door, giving them a suitable offer, they would consider trading the pick. Which is not a bad thing because you should be considering any kind of move if it makes your team better. It just really depends what kind of move that would be. Now, we have actually some speculation as to if the Canucks do end up trading the pick, where does it go to? Let's go over onto Taj's Twitter account. Thomas Drance thinks that the plan right now is for the Vancouver Canucks to start JT Miller as their third-line center. Satyr Shah also had a little say. He says that it goes along with what Irfan Ghaffar said, that if the Vancouver Canucks trade the 9th overall pick, it would be for a forward/a winger. So, with this approach here, it appears that the Vancouver Canucks internally might just be super interested in trying to improve their forward core. And you know what? If that's the case, then good. Really, really good. I know we need defense. We do need defense, but man, this team, this is the lineup we iced on the last game of the season. I know there's no Pettersson on here. I know we're missing a bunch of guys, but this team, aside from like 4 guys, it looked like a farm team. Like, plain and simple, that's it. So if the Vancouver Canucks go down an avenue where all of a sudden, Elias Pettersson is back. Okay, cool. He's a good player. You bring him in. You have Vasily Podkolzin as a prospect entering the league. Play this guy as a middle 6, so third line, maybe second line winger. You still have Höglander in there. You still have Bo. Of course, you have Besser. Eventually, you have that JT Miller, who eventually maybe slots down in the third line center spot. All of a sudden, you have yourselves a few extra top 9 forward slots available. And if you're not confident that a Cole Lind or a Tyler Mott or whatever would be good enough to fulfill that spot, then maybe you trade the first-round pick, 9th overall, for another player who is similar in that JT Miller kind of vibe. Now, that's easier said than done. Way easier in theory than in practice. You can't just say, okay, let's go ahead and trade for another guy who's like Miller. I mean, JT Miller was a point-per-game player in his first year. He kind of dropped off this second year, but I mean, I do think he still has a good amount of potential going into the long-term future, especially with the contract as well. So, if there is a very capable 25-goal, 50, 60-point guy available on the market, and the Vancouver Canucks could get that guy with the 9th overall pick, I honestly wouldn't be too opposed to making the trade if you are certain that that is what you're getting. Of course, though, Benning does say himself, it has to be somebody that is actually worth it. A guy who is young, who does have years ahead of him. We're not going to trade the pick for an aging asset or whatever. So there's some security there. Quick reminder, just because we finished off this discussion here does not mean the discussion is over. We still have a month and a bit until the draft, so we're going to make a ton of videos talking about what could happen and who the Canucks could go after if they do decide to keep the pick and make their selection. Now, going over onto the Ottawa Senators, this is what Shawn Simpson said on Twitter. My sources tell me that the Sens are willing to move up or down, or even trade the pick. If they move their 10th overall pick, they want a player that can make an impact now. They're also confident that Mann will get a great player at 10. They will not draft for need, but will take the best player available. So, right here with Ottawa, it is the exact same kind of sentiment, the exact same conclusion with the Vancouver side, which is the basic cookie-cutter answer. If there's a trade to be made, moving up, moving down, trading the pick away entirely, as long as it helps out our team, it acquires assets for us that we deem are worth it, we're gonna do it. Which is fine. At the very end of the day, it's fine. But it is kind of interesting for Ottawa because they are still a very young squad. The best players on this team are some of the younger guys on this team, and we know the best is yet to come for the Ottawa Senators. So if you're in a position where, let's say, a JT Miller-like asset, not JT Miller per se, but a player who could put up 25 goals and 50 or 60 points on a season on whichever team he plays for, let's say that guy is available. Vancouver's trying to acquire him with their 9th overall pick. I would not be surprised, based off of this description here from Simmer, if the Senators would be involved in that kind of discussion as well. They have a whole bunch of youth that they could probably afford to give up in trades. And I mean, the fact that they had so many extra picks over the previous few seasons really bodes well for their benefit. I think if the Senators want to start making that shift into being more competitive, this season they beat Vancouver in the standings. They were 6th last in their division. Okay, next year they want to be 5th last in their division. The year after they want to be in the top 3. They want to potentially challenge for a wild card or whatever. If this is the year where they say, okay, well, we know what Jimmy is doing. He's really good 18-year-old rookie there, Tim Stützle. We know Jake Sanderson is going to come over soon. We know Shane Pinto is going to be here starting out his career. Plus, we want to see what Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris, and, I don't know, fill-in-the-blanks Batherson could do with another year under their belts. Then maybe it is time to acquire a guy who is already in the 25 to 27 age range, in the prime of his career. We acquire this guy, he helps us out in the scoring department, and he carries a boatload of leadership that can really rub off onto our young guys because we're still a young team. It makes a lot of sense for Ottawa, I would say. And I think you could say the same thing about Vancouver. Vancouver already had that playoff success in 2020. But they were kind of derailed because of injuries and the pandemic this season. Yeah, it was really ugly to see what happened with Vancouver. But there were other problems that the Vancouver Canucks had in terms of who they decided to keep and who they acquired and all that stuff. Plus the expansion draft coming in here kind of derailed the entire conversation. So either or, if there is a player out there, would not be surprised if the Canucks nor the Senators would get themselves involved in those talks. So talk to me in the comments if you're a Canucks fan. If you're a Senators fan, what are your ideas here with the 9th and 10th overall picks? Do you just want to stay put? Just say, okay, we're going to take a Mason McTavish or a Kent Johnson or a Fabian Lysell or a Chaz Lucius or whoever it is that you see value in at that spot. Or would you be more inclined to trading the pick? Is it really all that dependent on who is available and who is asking, who is giving? Again, tons of conversation to have, and we're going to go over a whole bunch of stuff in the next few weeks talking about these conversations because, as I said in the Detroit video, Doesn't matter what's going to happen. We're going to have insiders leaking information over the next few weeks. And when that happens, we have ourselves some more video fodder. So talk to me in the comments what you think. If you enjoyed. This was Trolls99. And bye.